So to approach this puzzle, I have to be a little bit more cautious with this because at some point these are going to act like centers, like here, but at other places they're going to act like edges. So here's what my strategy is going to be. Let's go ahead and put in all of our inner edges because it's kind of like I'm assembling corners or I'm assembling centers. And the way that I'm going to do it is this. Now your puzzle is likely to have a different color scheme than mine. It's kind of annoying, but that's how it worked out for some strange reason. Anyway, my two fixed centers are going to be the orange one and the blue one. Either way you look at it, whichever one you have, if it's an earth, they're going to be adjacent to each other. There's going to be two that are adjacent. So start off with one of your fixed centers. So in my case, I'm going to do red. Now the important thing is, the one that you're going to start off with, make sure that in the middle areas here, there's only one that's non-fixed. In this case, it's here. So I can start off with a red, or I can say start off with a green, because in both of those cases, I just have one that's non-fixed. So I'm not going to start off with a white because I've got the orange here and I've got the blue here, so that's not going to work. Now the reason why I'm doing it that way is because I'd like the one that I have that I'm going to be working on to be opposite one that's also non-fixed. This is fixed and this is fixed. That's not going to work so good, and I'll show you why. So if I go back to, say, the red and start to put that in, I'm actually going to be using this bottom one or this one at the side to shuttle around these pieces if I need to. When I just did the circle cube, I'm able to just move it in, but I can't in this case. Like this piece here, this could have never been scrambled into this position if it was a pure circle puzzle. So I'm going to move this into here. Now what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to use the fact that this is on a non-fixed center to move it to the side and then move it up. So I'm going to keep doing that. Here's one over here, move it up here. And now this, how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to move this to a fixed area here. And now I can't move this to the side, so what I'm going to have to do is shuttle this down to here. So I'm going to take it to the side, move it down to this non-fixed center here too, bang, and now let's bump it out of the way. Now let's go ahead and put this stuff back over here. Once I've done that, now I'm free to move this anywhere I want, move it just below where it's supposed to be, and bang. So I've got these here, and I've got pretty much what I'm going to call a reduced center, which is made up of these quasi-inner edges over here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to attempt to put in all of these on all the other sides. And the way that I'm going to do this is this, keeping this oriented where it's at, keeping this over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the edges just along this equatorial region over here. I'm going to leave these go for now because the way that I'm going to put that in is I figure if I can put all of these in, then the ones at the top here and the ones at the bottom I'm going to set up to where it becomes like they were with the true circle cube. Everything at the right area. Then I'm just going to do swapping and stuff like that in order to put them right. So long story short, the first part of the puzzle within the puzzle, the first part of this is putting my little cross centers on each side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using this bottom in order to shuttle things in. At the end of it, this cross will be done. I'll have a line across each one over here, and I'll have the cross over here. So by using this to shuttle things around, I see that this has to come into here. Now to move this into here without destroying this, I can't just go like that because I can't do any moving to exchange it. So I'm going to have to move this down, which will bring this in. I'll just flap this over here. So I'm going to move this down, which will move this red one down. Now I'm going to turn this into position and move it up. So there you have it. I'm going to keep doing that with all of these. I'm going to do the same thing over here. So we'll go turn, turn, and turn. So this is fine. Now I'm going to go to, say, the yellow one. That's easy to do. Put it in, turn, bring it up. I've got this over here. Turn it down and replace it. So you can see why I put this one on the bottom. It's not going to offset this. This is good. This is good. Now I've got this and the white one. Well, I've got a white one that I can do here. Now bear in mind, I've got to be careful because I want to put everything in with my blue side as well. So I'm going to move this down, turn it, and exchange it over here. Now notice I didn't put in the yellow one yet because I'm going to be saving that for later. But in any case, I can start moving a blue one in. Orange one, not yellow one. Anyway, so this one of these whites have to make it over to here. So I'm going to put this down here so it can eventually be exchanged with this guy over here. First thing is I'll go ahead and move this blue up to here. And that's going to be done by batting this out of the way. So basically I'm going to move this down, turn it, move it in, turn it back. Now from time to time you might accidentally put one of these out, but that's okay. So now let's see what we've got here. I've got a green which isn't going to do anything for me. I've got this yellow one that I can put in, but I've got to find a white one to put in. So what I'm going to need to do is take this and move it down here. So I'm going to move this over here. Now understand, as I'm doing this, I'm just going to be cognizant that this is going to end up here. But it doesn't really matter because I can do any amount of turning. It's not going to mess this up. Same thing with this. So I'm going to turn this, say, over to here. And I'm going to negotiate some exchanges. Move this down. Move this up here. Turn it in. Then I'm going to move it back so I can once again replace these. So just be cautious. I'm not putting algorithms with this because I don't think you need to. You can visualize what you're doing. As long as you can visualize what you're doing, you don't need an algorithm. There's going to be time for that later. So now I'm going to put this in. This is now ready to come into here. Move it down, turn, bring it up. Okay, so looking at what we've got, this is in, this is in, this is in, and this is in. Now the blue. Well, here's what we're going to do about the blue. You know the algorithm RU, RIU, R2U, RI. What that does is that shuttles edges around. If I do that, then this stays the same and these guys turn around. Well, believe it or not, I can still use that with these. These areas here, these inner edges, don't act as circles. They don't act as centerpieces. Instead, they act as true edges. So they're going to function like edges. So what I'm going to do then is I want to cause a line over here. If I move, say, this here, and I do RU, RIU, R2U, RI, it's going to cause these guys to shuttle around. So here's what I mean by that. I'm going to go like RU, RIU, R2U, RI. What that did is that turn these around. This stayed the same, but it moved these guys around as edge pieces. So on the Earth Crazy 3x3, once you get the last line here, or once you've got all these lines here and you want to get the blue one in, just do that algorithm, which will take one that maybe is here and here and put it over to here. If you didn't get that configuration, then you can change that around. So hopefully that made sense so far. That was the first bit of complication, but you're getting the lines across here. Just remember that these edges act like true edges and not centers when it's over here, so that's why it was able to do that. So now the next step, now that we've got these, it's a matter of moving these guys in. The first thing that you have to do is you have to make sure that you have different colors here. If I'm going to move these in, then I can't have two of the same color. So I'm looking around, I've got green, yellow, white, and yellow. So I've got two. If I've got two of the same color up here, I must have two of the same color down here as well. Green, white, blue, blue. So I've got two blues and two yellows. So what I need to do is I need to negotiate an exchange between these two. So the thing to do in order to make this happen is make sure that your fixed center is on the top. So keep the fixed center on the top and keep the non-fixed center on the bottom over here. What you're going to do is you see that there's two yellows that are here and two blues that are over here. So the way that you're going to do this is, in order to exchange them, we're going to negotiate an exchange between those two. But in order to do the exchange, you need to find the other non-fixed center so that you can do the exchange. So what you're going to do is take the one that has a double and put it right above over here. Just below it, put the other one that has a double on the bottom just below that as well. So what we're about to do is we're going to make a turn, and that will separate this from its double over here, and this will separate also. Double turn, and there you go. But the problem is, how are we going to move it back? These guys have to move back. And the way to do that is basically with this fixed one at the top, go ahead and move this out of the way, so it's now out of the way from its double, and move in the double that belonged over here. So the double of this yellow, when it was up here, is right over here. So now move the other one here, and I'll make your turn again. Now notice when I did that, I didn't change the conformation over here. So I can do this, I won't change that, and now double turn it again. So what that in essence did is it kept these two together when I turned it, and I separated the blue. So what this technique did is it made sure that all the colors are different on these sides, all the colors are different on these sides. So you're basically most of the way there with this. So again, find the two colors here, find the two colors here, find your non-fixed center, put one of the doubles here, the other double here, turn it, separate it out, and find the double that you just moved it away from, put it here, and then turn it again. So now what we're going to do is we have to see if they can match up. This is here, but these aren't. This is done exactly like doing the edge placement once it's been permuted in the last layer. That if I have these over here, if I do RU, RIU, R2U, RI, that should cause these to rotate around. If I hold it over here, just like at the top it was able to do that, over here, these are going to act not like centers, but they're going to act like edges over here. In certain circumstances, if I do that algorithm, this doesn't really turn. So RU, RIU, R2U, RI. You'll find it doesn't change it at all. And that's because in order for the algorithm to work, when you do that algorithm, the edge, when you do an R, must move down here so that it can do the exchanging. It won't do that if you have a fixed edge. So on the right side, since we do an R, we must do that with an area that is non-fixed, like this. So find the two that are in, if there is two that are in, and then we're going to match it to where we're going to put to the right side the fixed center, and I'm going to take these, and just like with any cube that I want to rotate these around, is move the ones that are in to the right and to the back. So these two are in, so I'm going to move one to the right, one to the back, and now I can do the algorithm because it'll cause shifting around. This will stay the same, so we do RU, RIU, R2U, RI, and now everything should be coordinated appropriately. Good, 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 and good. Same thing with the other side. Put the fixed, the non-fixed center to the side, and let's see how this is lined up. This is in, none of the rest are, but let's see if we can see which two are correct in coordination with each other. Again, blue and yellow. So now I can keep this here, one to the right, one to the back. Again, if these two were coordinated with each other, I would just move it in the proper configuration over here. So go ahead and move it here and do RU, RIU, R2U, RI, and now you'll find it's fine. So you did it. You've got the first part of your puzzle within a puzzle. These are all good. Now that we've reduced our centers, so to speak, of our circle puzzle, what we're going to want to do now is we're going to start reducing edges. We're going to put our edges in. We're not quite ready for a layer by layer solve. The reason that we're not ready for that is there may be an issue with possible placement parity as we reduced it. With any reductive strategy, there's the possibility of, as you're reducing it to a simpler puzzle, of having placed it in a wrong but equivocal way so that it's unsolvable in the way that you want to solve it. So here's how I would do this. On your bottom, find one of your fixed centers. In this case, it's this. And I'm going to go ahead and put in all of my edges the same way that I did here. So it's going to be no different. I put in the edges, the inner edges here, which is basically the circle. Now I'm just going to line up the outer edges with the inner edges. And I'm going to start out by having it on the bottom, then I'll double turn, put it in, double turn it in. Same thing. So here's a blue one. Now I have to be careful of the other non-fixed center, because with this blue and white, what I want to do is I want to move it in over here. So bump it out of the way, bring this center down so that it's next to it, allow it to meet it over here, and then bring it up so you can see it's over there. Now imagine trying to do that with a fixed center. Well, here's an example. Well, actually, there's not an example, but imagine trying to do that. This is contingent upon the ability to move this down and not have these change. But if I move this down, try to move something in and move it back, you can see that I've taken it out. We don't want to do that. Here, if I move something down, move it in, move it back, then it's still in the proper configuration here. So what I want to do is move things to the bottom. I've got this over here. This is an example of what I'm going to talk about. What I'm going to do is move it to the bottom so that this blue's on the bottom. Bump it out of the way, move it back. You're not going to take anything out of alignment, so here it is. And actually I have to be sure to move these back too. Okay, so how am I going to move this in? What I can't do is I can't move it down the way I did with the others and move it in because I'm bumping edges out of the way. These don't act like centers with these, remember, they act like true edges. So what I'm going to do is take it away from this center. So I'm going to move this area that I want to move the edge into, take it away from this fixed area here so that now this can act like a center and not like an edge. Over here, it'll be like an edge. Here, it'll be like a center. Bump this out of the way. Now I can move this down. Now I can move this in to match up over here. And now I can move this back to match up over here. Then I just, bang, move this back over here. All right, so far so good. Same thing, I want to move this down to here. So move it down. Bump it out of the way. Move it back. So this is ready to go with the yellow. Same thing as a circle cube. Double turn, move it in, turn it back. We've got one more to go and it's here. Now it's upside down. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right side up it, so to speak. The way that I'm going to do that, as I showed a quick little commutator, is, now you can visualize this. You don't really have to memorize it, but if you wanted to, put it in front of you to turn it upside down. Remember not to have any non-fixed centers. They all have to be fixed, or else you're going to end up blasting these out. It's going to be F, R, I, F, I, R. Moves it here, do it again. F, R, I, F, I, R. Brings it up over here. So now I'm perfectly fine to go turn, 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 and now we're up. Okay, so we've got these reduced. Now, rather than going in and putting in the corners after having put these in, we're going to want to go ahead and put all the rest of the edges in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this upside down, and I'm going to start reducing these, which is going to be fairly easy. All you have to do is you see these edges here, move this to where it's supposed to go. I have to move this down to here. Now, as long as I don't have a non-fixed edge, these are all centers rather, these are all fixed centers. Doing the same edge algorithm will move this down here without blasting these out. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be doing the beginner's method swapping of the edge at the top layer with the edge of the middle layer. And that algorithm, if I'm going to the left side, is going to be UI, LI, U, L, U, F, UI, FI. And as you can see, it moves it in just fine. Let's see what else we have. Here's a red and white. This one has to slide into here. And again, as long as they're fixed, all we have to do is treat these as edges. We don't worry about these because they are now centers. They've been bequeathed as centers. To do it on the right side, U, R, UI, RI, UI, FI, U, and F. There that is, and now we've got these to go. Well, we've got to be a little careful about this because anything that's here is going to act like, these are going to act like edges. So if I do that same algorithm, this whole thing is going to be brought down to here. Here, it didn't happen. Whatever was here stayed here. So let's take a look at what needs to come down. I've got this over here. What I'm looking to do is I need to take this and move it into here. Will it work? Well, what'll happen is all of these moves will be fine, but we got to worry about these moves over here. So if I were to do U, R, UI, RI, if I move it down like this, you can see it totally takes this out. This is fine, but this had a bunch of things acting just like edges. So we're going to go ahead and put this back in. I'm just going to take this and move this down over here. Just used it as an edge. So now we can pick it up where we left off. So how am I going to move this into here? Well, here's the trick. Here's what you need to do. First off, if you move it from here to here, you're going to end up with a problem with the edge. If I move this from here to here, you're going to be fine. And that's basically because I'm doing mostly this move. Now, because we're going to end up moving this, whatever's here, down. What I want to do is I want this to be flipped so that it's by the proper center. But I also want it to be lined up with the proper yellow, with the proper orange. So what you need to do with this fixed center is you need to have these both reduced, and then you can move it in and this center won't move. This will move, but it'll move for an orange center in my case. Now your non-fixed side is going to be the same. So how am I going to move this down? Well, here's what you could do. I want to move this down, but I don't want to destroy what I did over here. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're simply going to move it down to here, then you're going to move it back up. So you're going to do that switching algorithm, the edge switching algorithm, and then do it again. So that's going to be UR, UIRI, UIFI, UF. You put it down here. Now do it again to bring it up. Now what you may want to do, if you do it again to bring it up, this is going to be down here. So let's find the other orange right over here. Do the algorithm again. That'll bring this up, but now the yellow is going to be on top. We're going to have another orange over here. So once again, turn and turn. This is here, and now I've got this upside down, which is what I wanted to do. What I need to do now is I need to move it into this piece over here. What that means is I need to do the algorithm that switches these around but doesn't move these. Now when I turn this so that this was just to the right of a non-fixed center, these all basically acted like edges that can be swapped around. So it caused these to rotate around. This stayed the same, and these all rotated. Well, if I do that where the R move is not a non-fixed center, but if I do that where it's a fixed center, these don't change, only these change. So I'm going to do the same algorithm, RU, RIU, R2U, RI, and that will keep these fixed, but these guys will rotate around. So I'm going to keep doing that until this finds a nice home here. RU, RIU, R2U, RI. Well, actually, what probably would be better is if I didn't have that facing in front of me, because that's going to make it not move. So I'm going to turn it off to the side. Then keep doing it until it ends up over here. RU, RIU, R2U, RI, and you can see it's in. Now that I have it in, I move it here. So now I'm going to move this en masse down to here, and everything will be fine. UR, UIRI, UIFI, UF, and there it is. So we're going to do the same thing here. I want to turn this upside down so that it matches the white. Now here's an alternative way you can do it. Let's say you don't want to flip it and then flip it again. You could do it that way. Or you can just do the algorithm that rotates these guys around, that flips these. So this is the last layer edge flipping algorithm. So here's another way you can do this, and I'll let you decide how you want to do it. But let's just flip this. If I do the FRU, RIUI, FI, this is going to stay the same. This is going to slide here. This is going to flip, and this is going to flip. So you can use that algorithm. It just means you have to have an understanding of how it flips these. So this is why you have like the L formation and the line or the dot. It causes variable flipping. So I could just do FRU, RIUI, FI. And look at that, it flipped. You could do it that way too. So I give you that choice, whatever is easiest for you to do. But in any case, now I have to find the other orange, which is over here. Seems nice and comfortable with this, but it doesn't want to be there. It wants to be down here. This wants to be up here. So what I'm going to do is put this over here once again, where there's fixed centers, and roll it around until this finds a home with this one. RU, RIU, R2U, RI. Didn't take much. There it is. Put it where it wants to be, and then move this en masse down to here. Turn, 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 turn. No problems. So now everything is fine. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to flip all the greens, in my case, to where they're matching these here. So let's flip these over, and it's that edge flipping algorithm that I just showed you, which is part of the beginner's method. Again, make sure that our non-fixed center is right in the back, safely out of the way. We've got an L formation over here, and we do F, R, U, R, I, U, I, F, I. We've got our line here. Now these guys have to flip, so F, R, U, R-I-U-I-F-I. Okay, so you're almost there. And now we have a situation where these are up. Now I've got to match them to these sides here. Well, I can put this over here. I've now created these as centers. So what I'm going to do is rotate these around. Right now none of them are in. Now remember, when we were in a similar situation with this, we had one in and none of the rest, or all in. That's how it has to be. So I'm going to hold this here and just, this is going to keep this steady. Well, we'll do it here to put this at the back. These guys are going to stay the same, and these guys are going to rotate around. R-U, R-I-U, R-to-U, R-I. And you can see this one over here. So then we just do the same thing. R-U, R-I-U, R-to-U, R-I, and everything is in. Now that was way too easy. And I don't think we should get away with it that easily, because sometimes you're going to end up with this situation. Okay, so let's say you have this situation, you've got all these in, you see these are rotated right, but these aren't quite correct. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do the RU, RU, R2, RI, and find one that's in, put that in front of us, and get the rest in. So gleefully and blissfully, with blissful ignorance, you go ahead and do RU, RIU, R2U, RI, and look around, nothing yet, do it again. Thinking you're almost there, and bang, and you say, oh, this is in, and oh, this is in. You've got two. That is a parity. That's an impossibility. You're not supposed to get that, because now whatever I do, if I hold this in front of me, it'll knock this out and only one of these in. I'm always going to have two in, which means I've got to do a single swap. You're not supposed to be able to do that, at least not with the techniques of the beginner's method. Anyway, it's just not going to work that way. So here's what you do when you're confronted with this. First off, make sure that you have the two that are in opposite each other. So I'm going to hold this in front of me and do, well, not with this at the side, because I'll end up rotating these guys around, the inners. I'll turn these center pieces into edge pieces. Turn it over here, and let's do it from here. R-U, R-I-U, R-to-U, R-I. Good. Well, we want it opposite, so keep going. R-I. Okay, good and good, and these two need to be flipped. So how are we going to do this? Well, here's a little strategy that you can use that I've used to get out of binds with supercubes in the past, especially when I have problems matching the edges with the centers of a supercube, because that's what these are now. These are now the centers of a supercube, and these are the edges. What you want to do is this. Take your two pieces that need to be swapped, the two areas where the outer edges need to be swapped, and you're going to move them into a non-fixed center, where it turns it into edges, turns the centers into edges, basically. So I'm going to take these two and move them into a non-fixed center, and then with this as my top, I'm going to do the algorithm R to U, R to U, R to U, R to U, and you can do another R if you want, but look at what happened. Basically, it got them back. So let's move them back to the center, and now we're just fine. So that's how to fix that. Now we have all of our centers in.